You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Paranormal Pride. We will visit only with the best investigators, location owners, demonologists, researchers, inventors, authors, mediums, psychics, and enthusiasts. Anyone with a love or interest in the paranormal, the supernatural, or the unexplained will be meeting here on Mondays at 8 p.m., 7 Central. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. Welcome, everyone, to another great episode. I'm hoping that this one's going to lives up to everyone's expectations, because I know it's going to live up to mine. I love having David Glidden on. This is his fourth time on. You know, apparently it's old home week here at Paranormal Pride. We're just going to have on a whole bunch of people this month that you guys have heard that I've had on before. Of course, it makes it very easy for me because I don't really have to do a whole lot of homework. And this time of year, we all know homework is the one thing we don't want to do. But with David, I don't have to do a lot of that because with all the stuff he does, he keeps us, he keeps us hopping with paranormal frequencies. He does all kinds of research on all kinds of things. I found his research on the Yeti to be very interesting, especially the stuff out there in Russia. Of course, I had seen a lot of the stuff on TV that they had, but the stuff he had to add to it was great. The spook light information that he has is excellent. And then you have his paranormal group, 4-State Paranormal, as paranormal studies. And let's see, what else am I missing? I don't think I'm missing too much. But David does a little bit of everything in the paranormal. It's not just ghosts. It's UFOs and research on just strange things. And he's got a great team with him too. And so I don't want to minimize that because I'm really good friends also with his teammates, John and Barry and Dawn. They are all really good people. So and I've had John and Barry on as well. So you guys need to make sure that you check out 4-State Paranormal so you can get to know them. But tonight we're going to talk to David about all the stuff he's got going on. And one of the things we're going to talk about is Into the Light 2. You guys if you've been on the network with me and listened to any of this before, we had Josh Hurd on, and he talked about Into the Light 2 and some of the pranks that were pulled on each other. You also heard last week Richard Rose was involved in some of those pranks as well. And Richard Rose was in Into the Light, the first one, the spook light exploration. So we've got a lot of crossover here into past episodes. So keep that in mind. So if you guys have any questions about any of these other things that we've talked about with David in the past or anything that I've said, please let us know. David?
Yes.
Into the Light 2. How did this come about?
Well, with the first one, Josh and I, we were pretty happy. Like literally right the day after we finished filming, we were pretty happy with what we've done, and on the trip back home, we started thinking of what have we missed, and that just kind of piled up on us, because the whole trip and the filming process of the first one was basically a build-up for us. Like each location was a step further in the right direction, and we had thought we'd hit the jackpot. Had hit the answer that we were wanting to get. But then, once the excitement settles and the dust clears, you realize, well, there's more questions now than we had answers. So I had been thinking about how can we attack this at a new angle and bring something fresh into this subject. And with the Brown Mountains, I had this idea of something that I wanted to do that would get us closer, and we would bring in some more official answers, and it would put our evidence up against the test. And but unfortunately, we had to succumb to the hurricane that happened out there at the time of filming. Like we had it all planned out to go, but the hurricane put us in check, and we decided, hey, let's go back to Joplin, because there was a part of Joplin that we didn't get to hit on that we felt was extremely important. And so we did that, and we also hit a new location, and this new location was it's just off the charts. It's so amazing, just the scale of activity that happens at this location. And the only reason it came about was I met the owners of the location at a paranormal conference about a year and a half ago, and I talked to them then, about coming out to look at the place, and it just popped in my head. It's like, hey, why don't we need to hit this location, and we need to check this out, because there's other elements to this whole spook light phenomenon that's we're not finding at these other locations, or so we thought. So that's pretty much how it all really came up. And what the funny thing is, I've already gotten an offer to for somebody to help us as far as setting up a third Into the Light, and I haven't even finished editing the second one. So yeah.
Like, I'm shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And my offer still stands to help you with the behind the scenes stuff. All that marketing kind of crap and all that, the stuff I'm actually good at. So, but hopefully it comes up, that you get to do Into the Light 3, because it happens. I mean, don't these lights happen everywhere? And not just, because the spook lights in Joplin, they were called what, the Hornet lights?
Yeah, well, it's actually over technically on the Quapaw, Oklahoma area,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a little town in Missouri called Hornet that's located right across the border, and Joplin being the largest known town, everybody associates it with Joplin. So it goes by a whole lot of names, like Devil's Promenade, the Hornet Spook Light, the Joplin Spook Light, things like that.
How far is Joplin to Hornet?
10 minutes.
Okay, because you have to understand, I'm used to taking, well, what's now 49, it used to be 71, through all the speed trap towns to get.
Yeah, basically you would take, if you're coming down 49, you would get on I-44 and take the Baxter Springs, Kansas exit and just drive south on that. And like 5 minutes, you're into Hornet.
Like I said, I've been to Joplin, went after the tornado,
Mm-hmm.
wiped out half the town. That's probably, I think I've been down there maybe 3, and can't say that anything remarkable never went down there. So it's like, is it worth going down there?
To the Spook Light?
Yeah.
It depends on what your goals are. If you're just going down there to see it, I always tell people when you go to do any kind of paranormal exploration, don't have high expectations because the likelihood that you're going to come across something isn't very high. Just like ghost hunting, just like
Fishing.
squatching or UFO chasing. I mean, the odds are against you.
It's
So
just like fishing.
yeah, you got to enjoy the process.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Like I said, I've always wondered about it. I found out about it when I was living in Blytheville, Arkansas. Strange things. Spent a lot of time in the library because I didn't have a whole lot to do. So I found out about it. It wasn't anything that it was before I met Ron. He's just so you know, he's making faces at me.
Oh.
and not very good faces. Kind of where you want to slap him.
Aww.
So
Do it.
So, but no, because it's heard, and then it's spousal abuse, and I'm going to jail. It ain't worth it. He's not worth it. So
did you hear that, Ron?
Yeah, he heard it. I don't wear a headset right now, and I'm not using a mic because we found out my sound is better without it. So, but funny, it was one of those funny things that I learned about 37 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I was only interested in it because it was something strange.
Right.
I never thought that I would be in an area to where I'd be close enough to go. So where are other places that you can witness spook lights you said the Brown Mountains. I know that you guys witnessed some type of spook lights in the first movie up in Iowa.
Yeah, in the first movie we did St. Mary's, Iowa, Joplin, and the Brown Mountains in North Carolina. Some of the other places we were looking at were like the Marfa lights in Texas. Arkansas has the Gurdon light, which has kind of a ghost story behind it, which is the case with a lot of lights. But I mean, the phenomenon is worldwide. I mean, there's places like in I want to say the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm. Well, do all of these? Okay, you said that some of these have related ghost stories. Do some of these also have related crypto stories as well?
There's a lot of things that relate to the lights. It's pretty fascinating because, one of the first things people will jump on is as far as the lights or as an explanation is UFOs. It was pretty funny. Right after we started touring the first film, Josh received a message from a guy in Carthage who claimed he had video proof of what the Joplin spook light was and where it was coming from. And he was saying that it wasn't necessarily just a light, but it was actually a craft. And he said he recorded some video back in the 90s and that could prove this. And we had actually tried to contact him and, we wanted to interview him and see this video and shoot it for part of our Joplin section of the second film. But as soon as Josh finally got a hold of him, the guy pretty much backed out, didn't want to talk about it, and didn't want to show us anything. And so it's.
I thought you were going to say he got abducted.
No. I was kind of hoping something like that would happen at the Brown Mountain Lights because there's a lot of stories of alien abductions that happened out there. Pretty intense stuff too.
Well, I know that Kat has had some questions about that, that people actually go missing in the Brown Mountains.
It's not hard to see that happening because they're the Brown Mountains, it's national forest. That seems to be something that we've had in common with the locations we've shot in the first and second film was the dense vegetation in these areas. Like there's a lot of national forests around, so it's a weird feature for sure.
Kat says she has video of the Thomas Divide lights in Cherokee, Tennessee.
I'm trying to think where Cherokee's at. I used to live in Tennessee by Knoxville.
Well, you may be coming to visit there someday.